Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Money Matters Top Tips for Success, where each and every day I bring on new business owners, entrepreneurs, and executives and have them share their top tips for success with you. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, moneymatterstoptips.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Julie Gordon on the line, and she's Vice President of Organizational Development and Strategy over at Suttons Creek. Julie, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So I'm excited to get more into what you're doing over at Suttons Creek, but before we do that, let's get a little bit further into your background. So how'd you get started in your career and in business?
Oh, that is a tricky, crazy path. So I got started in business by accident. I got a call 2 days after my college graduation that they needed a production assistant on a film that was shooting in Toronto, which is where I grew up. And they said, if you can get to the production office, the job is yours. And then that was a 13-year career in television and film development. I loved every minute of it. It was creative. It was strategic. It was interesting. And we were working on projects that really were cutting edge, so really different for television. And then I had to leave that career, which was really sad because the writers went on strike and then the actors went on strike and then the economy fell off the cliff. So I made a left-hand turn going about 80 miles an hour into recruiting for financial services. And you'll laugh because one of the young ladies that you had on your podcast, Nicole Khalil, was a really good friend of mine, and she called me and said, I think you should come and work in financial services. And I had to ask her if she was day drinking because I had come from entertainment, which was not at all financial services. And she told me one of the most important things I've ever heard is skill set transfers. You're the common denominator in everything you do. So if you were confident and strategic and innovative and had a success footprint in entertainment, I promise you, you could bring that here. And financial services and recruiting and human management ended up being this career that I never knew I always wanted. And that led me to a decade career helping hire, working with talent acquisition, and really building the foundation for my organizational development work.
Wow, what an amazing career, because it's interesting. I love that you bring up that point of skill set transferring, because I always find some of the best people that have transitioned to finance actually work from the entertainment world. They're like, wait a minute, everybody here is so nice, and it's just different. Like, it's a different vibe, definitely. So Julie, that being said, there's some people listening right now that are, maybe they're just getting started in their career, or they might be actually in the middle of one of those kind of pivots. Like, you had this big pivot-ish time, whether it was by choice or not by choice, that led you to finance. That being said, what kind of advice would you give to that person that's listening to this right now that may be in the middle of one of those pivots in their career?
1,000%. I think you have nothing to lose to be open to what options could be available to you. This is a really competitive market. People tend to remember that they got a lot of help in the beginning days of their career. So the number one I'd suggest, make as many connections as you can. Be trustworthy, be likable, and ask for support. Success leaves clues. Go find someone that you emulate or want to emulate their success and ask them to support you. The first job I ever got in film was because someone heard me give a wacky speech at my sister's wedding and thought I was amusing and thought I would do well with very temperamental directors. And that was my first launch. My girlfriend, Nicole, who you interviewed, thought I had a natural skill set that she said she couldn't teach me, and that would translate effectively into finance. Just continue to build and develop your connections, because fundamentally, as you work on your skill set and being able to identify, I'm really independent, I'm very thoughtful, I'm hardworking, I'm driven, if you can qualify and quantify what it is you bring to the table that's your unique brand of awesome, I think that goes a long way.
That's awesome news. I love it, Julie. Great advice there. Let's switch it up a bit. I want to get into what you're doing over at Suttons Creek. So first, tell us a little bit more about the business, please.
Sure. So Suttons Creek we are basically pharma's device team for combination products. So the pharmaceutical industry about 7 years ago got slapped with a new FDA conversation that anytime we paired a drug with a device, so think of like an EpiPen or an inhaler, the delivery system, which is that little plastic container it comes in, is now going to be regulated by the FDA. Sounds really confusing and really fancy. And the simplest way to say this is we partner with small, medium, and large-sized pharmaceutical companies, and we take all of the complexities out of the FDA approval process for them, and we basically embed in their organizations and support their teams getting products approved. And so it's again, a completely different landscape than entertainment or financial services. And yes, a learning curve because the vernacular is like another language. Fundamentally, if you really just talk to people and find out what keeps them up at night and find out where their pain points are and understand what their needs, wants, and desires are, you can build a strategy plan around it. And it's the same thing I did in entertainment and financial services. I get the great privilege of doing this now.
That's awesome. And so are there any, and I love the way you see it. So the way you see, obviously, they're all different processes. And this process that you're helping companies with now is, of course, in the pharmaceutical industry. So in your experience so far over at Suttons Creek, what are some of the challenges that these companies have in going through that process? You know,
one of the biggest challenges is the revolving door of people. So a team will start a project, and then 6 months later, 2 or 3 people will leave the team and come in new. And so there's a lot of the challenge points are the human capital. It's dealing with different personalities and different opinions. And oftentimes it's dealing with the companies that they came from because those opinions at the old company are now coming into a new space. And so often a lot of the work that I do is really just help neutralize how people feel about something so that we can kind of quiet the noise, get people what they need to feel safe and secure, create an action plan or kind of a pathway for them to execute. And once you clear out the confusion, we can come together as a team and make a difference. I realize, Adam, every time they call us, they don't want to have to call us, but they're realizing that they don't have all the answers to the questions, that will actually get these incredible products approved, that will end up on the market working with patients that need them every day. So I think sometimes I realize I have a lot of gratitude for the fact that people realize they need to pick up the phone and ask for help, which is a really hard thing to do. And that we have this extraordinary group. I call it the consortium of specialists. We have people in every lane you can imagine in pharmaceuticals that will really be able to support our clients effectively navigating the finish line of getting a product on the market.
What are the type of clients you'd like to work with? Just to get a little bit more in depth. So if somebody's listening to this right now and they're thinking about if they're the right type of pharmaceutical company to be reaching out to because maybe they need some help. What's the right kind of niche and or type of client you like working with?
I love working with clients that maybe have a drug product and they are going to add it to a device. So they're at the start line of that kind of decision-making process. And we can sit in those strategy meetings and say to them, does creating a combination product, which is taking a drug and adding it to a device, make sense for you? That is a lot of fun because if we're at the start line, we can also help them configure the right type of pathway to travel in. I also love working with small companies that maybe have the very first product you're bringing to the market, so they absolutely have no idea of where the boundaries are, and we get to help educate them and train them and work side by side. And then we've done this a lot where we have a client that will call us in the 11th hour of a drug going through a final phase on the approval cycle for FDA submission, and they realize that they don't have what they need on the combination product side, which is the device side. And they'll call us and we will help them execute in excellence what they need to do. Ultimately, we love more proactive solution pathways for clients, but we have been very effective in kind of saving the day with a handful of our clients as well.
That's fantastic. So, Julie, if somebody's listening to this and they do want more information on Suttons Creek or to connect with you, what's the best way for them to reach out?
Wonderful. So Suttons Creek, our website is www.suttonscreek.com. You can also follow us on LinkedIn. We have a phenomenal client inquiry form online that they can fill out with just a handful of general questions. so that we can know how to more tailor respond to their request. One thing we love doing is being customized and adaptive to each client landscape. So just pick up the phone and give us a call. Our phone number is 877-611-4724. Any inquiry and every inquiry matters to us. If we can help educate, we can be an advocate for you in learning. If we can at one point partner and be your consulting resource for life, we're open to whatever, whenever.
Perfect. Well, hey, Julie, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about your background and all the great work you're doing over at Suttons Creek to help your clients. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes store, share this with your friends and family. I mean, do all those great things we do to support our podcast. Just I really do appreciate it. And Julie, thanks again for coming on the show.